Visalaw is the first immigration intelligence platform built by immigration lawyers for immigration lawyers. We built it to support every area of an immigration law firm's work, not just research, not just drafting, but the full practice of immigration law, restoring attorneys' time for client advocacy. It starts with data. Visalaw AI is built on the largest and most robust immigration law dataset available, curated by immigration attorneys and continuously updated. Every feature, workflow, and AI capability is grounded in authoritative immigration law. The platform is built with enterprise-grade security, and customer data is never retained or used to train AI models. Our improved case law tools deliver faster, deeper legal analysis with clear authority, stronger context, and reliable citations you can trust. Our new research agent goes further. It identifies your practice area, checks live government sources for policy changes through GovSync, searches the full catalog of US case law, statutes, and regulations when needed, and verifies every citation before results reach you. Visalaw AI. This is immigration intelligence you can trust.
Hello, Tyler. How's it going?
It is going. How are you, Ian?
It's going well, and I'm glad to be joining you all today, and I appreciate everybody who's taking the time out of their day to join us as well to talk a little bit about AI legal research and Visalaw AI. And this, we are actually going to be, you saw the intro video here just a second ago, we are actually going to be using the 2.0 landscape, which has just started to be rolled out to customers, and so we're excited to get people on there. There's a few different things sort of to discuss there. There's some really cool updates that we're going to show you as well today in our demo. But one thing to keep in mind is you do still have access. If you are a current customer, you do still have access to Visalaw 1.0, the OG Visalaw, as I call it. And you do have the option when you do log in, you can go to Visalaw, or you can go to 2.0. 2.0 in the early access beta phase, so something to keep in mind there as well as we sort of work through things. We're super open to feedback. We're still in a very malleable state with the product, so this is the time to provide your feedback, and we're really always looking to get that extra information from you all who are actually using the product. And overall, I think, Tyler, we've got a really cool set of things to show today. Because it is legal research, as we go through today, if you have a legal research question that you want to submit, just put it in the chat here. I'll send a little hello. And you can just send it there, and we will we'll run it through. We'll see what we get in our answer outputs as well. But as we get started here today, Tyler, is there anything that you want people to know about the new look Visalaw, the update that we have with 2.0? What are some of the new things that we're seeing on for the features, and what should people know?
Yeah, I think the biggest, the quickest answer is going to be it's a much more intuitive, it's a much easier to use system than previously. If you tested Visalaw 1.0, if you're a customer, if you did a demo with us, you would understand that the information and the capabilities you have with Visalaw were really siloed throughout the system. You were very limited to the individual feature that we were working within at that time. Whereas with 2.0, it's a more intuitive system in the sense that when you're interacting with the system, you're able to use the content that's in the law library, the web searches. You're able to use all of that from one location this time, as opposed to it all being siloed into different buckets. You'll start to see pretty immediately what I mean by that. But I would say, just to the quick answer, Ian, is it's a more intuitive, it's a more simple platform to use, along with it being more robust on the back end. But as the user, or the attorney, or the immigration professional, there isn't really any added legwork you need to do to get the benefits of the additional functionality. I would actually argue it's kind of the opposite. You're getting additional functionality, a more robust system, but also easier to use simultaneously. So yeah, that's what has me excited, and that's probably what we'll uncover as we jump into the webinar today. pretty immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we'll go ahead and get into it. We'll go
Yeah.
ahead and Tyler, we'll get your screen up here for anybody. If you are a current customer, or if you are a new customer or a potential customer, best next steps you can do are to go ahead and book a demo. I'm going to throw this up here briefly. Scan that QR code if you'd like to book a demo. If you are a current customer and you want to learn more, you can email support@visalaw.ai to book some time with our customer success team, who can help walk you through 2.0 and get you familiar with anything that looks unfamiliar. Well, we're going to go through a little bit of that today and right now. So
Yeah.
what are we looking at here, Tyler?
Absolutely. So, and just to explain Visalaw a little further for those who maybe aren't as familiar with us, we are an immigration intelligence platform. We provide one platform, all powered by AI, all very specific to the practice of immigration law, designed to help you throughout the process of a case. Right. The bulk of our functionality is going to be built around AI-powered legal research and AI petition drafting. So we're going to spend almost all of our time today talking about the research side and the chat features within Visalaw, but we do have a full petition drafting feature or function that we'd love to walk you through. So as Ian's mentioning, feel free to book a demo with us. We're more than happy to walk you through the research, but also the drafting capabilities on a live demo, answer your question, and set you up with a free trial period. If you're somebody who's had your eye on Visalaw for a while, maybe you did a demo with us in the past, you did a trial on 1.0, and for whatever reason the timing was off, feel free to reach back out. We'd love to have you test 2.0. And just because you did a free trial in the past doesn't mean that we won't set you up with a free trial on 2.0. So with that being said, what we're looking at here is actually our new dashboard view, right? This is the new view that we're greeted with when we first log into Visalaw. And as I was mentioning, this is probably the biggest visual difference in 2.0 is this dashboard screen here. We see, instead of having the different legal research, private GPT, document Q&A functionality all siloed, I can access all of that functionality here and access it essentially while doing each individual feature, right? And we're going to kind of dive into what that means. So I think that the best way to do it is just to jump in here. We're going to start talking about the various toggles here because a lot of this functionality is new with 2.0. So we're going to put our legal research hat on right now. And we're going to ask a legal research question while explaining these different toggles. So instead of logging into legal research, I can just put in my legal research question here. And the question we're asking is, will a J1 non-immigrant who received U.S. government funding qualify for a 212E waiver with a no objection letter? As I'm finishing typing that, I will say, please, if you do have a question we want to use here on the webinar, feel free to put it in the chat. We're more than happy to use it here on the webinar. So we see here the first toggle that catches our eye is going to be that research toggle. Anytime that we have this in it, and we do get a real-time instruction guide of what this means, right? Both on and off. Anytime that we have the research mode on, it is utilizing our immigration law library, our research capabilities to answer your question. So when I have this research on, just like legal research would never go out to the internet, to answer our questions, this research mode is going to be utilizing that immigration law library and not the internet to answer our questions. Taking a step back, because I will refer to our immigration law library throughout the demo today. If I jump over here into that law library, this is really the backbone of our legal research capabilities. This should look pretty familiar if you're used to looking at the immigration law library in 1.0. It does get a kind of a nice visual refresh here. It's a little cleaner, but all in all, it's the same law library that you know and love. When we come in here to the filters, we can see that the immigration law library is comprised predominantly of our primary law materials, which are going to consist of AAO decisions, BIA decisions, executive orders, statutes, regulations, BALCA, federal court cases, et cetera, et cetera. All of these subcategories here are going to make up the primary law materials. But being that we are powered by AILA, we also include AILA's content and AILA links content within the immigration law library. So this is kind of the bulk of the content that's being used for those legal research questions. Something we have added is we do have a much more robust case law section within the law library as well. If I drop down this case law and click into it, let me see here. There we go. We're going to see that I have a more robust search for that case law. If I'm searching specific case law, I can actually filter down into the days that it was filed, both after and before. And I have some more filters on the jurisdictions as well. So I can get pretty granular with the searching capabilities if I'm just looking for specific case law, right? So that is now something that we've added into the immigration law library.
Absolutely. And so, one thing I'll mention as well, Tyler, as we close out of here, people will use the immigration law library even just to stay up to date on information you're pulling up as well. You can go through and you can select on these individual files, learn more about them, actually read the PDFs that have been uploaded. And this is, and like you said, the backbone of what makes Visalaw AI's immigration intelligence, really top of line. What differentiates us from a ChatGPT or a Claude, which they're pulling their information from the internet, which, for a lot of answers, they'll actually do pretty well with that. But because they're just relying on information from the internet, you are opening the door for much more of a hallucination risk, which is something you really can't have. And that's why this sort of what we call a retrieval system for this information makes it so much more accurate. We have actually done our testing, and we're actually 5 to 7% more accurate than even the best frontline models in terms of answering immigration questions. So we're really, really proud of that, and really, it's really, like you said, the backbone of what makes Visalaw AI an immigration intelligence platform.
Yeah. And one thing I'll mention just before we leave the law library, this is something new with 2.0. It's a very small feature, but sometimes the small ones are the things that are most helpful. We can now just simply click into a document or specific documents and click this little file and insights tab here. And this is actually going to allow me just to run a quick search specifically looking through the content of this document, right? There's various ways I could have done that in Visalaw 1.0, but this allows me, if I just have a specific question about a very specific document here, I can just click it, file insights, and just ask my question here in regards to that document. So just a small add that we added to the law library. But just to piggyback off what Ian said, we are confident in saying this is the largest immigration law data set in the world, being that we are compiling our primary law resources, but also being powered by AILA and including their content. And navigating back into kind of our dashboard view to close the loop here, when we do have that research on here, this is only looking at the immigration law library to answer our question, not going out to the internet to find content for our answer, as Ian's mentioning. Now, something we do have the ability now is we can turn citations on and off. So in the event you were not looking for those citations, you do have the control to turn those off here. But a new toggle we've introduced is GovSync. GovSync is new with 2.0. Essentially, what GovSync is doing is when we're asking the question here, I'm actually going to run this because GovSync does take just a little bit of time to run while we're here. When we run our question with GovSync on, and I'll take us back here so we can actually read through this. GovSync is looking at real time through the government websites to confirm that the information we're pulling from the immigration law library is the most accurate and the most up-to-date content possible, right? So it's pulling the information from the law library, but simultaneously going to each individual government website just to do a check to verify that that is the most up-to-date content here. So I do have the ability to turn that GovSync on and off. We are working to get these speeds down. Well, actually, that wasn't too bad here. So right on cue, it is going to answer my legal research question while also looking at the government websites, again, to confirm that that is the most accurate and the most up-to-date answer for us.
Yeah, and one thing to note when as you mentioned the searching speeds there is that with GovSync on, it's literally going through hundreds of web pages at a time. So don't be alarmed by an answer that's just taking a second. We usually see times about maybe 30-40 seconds to answer a question there, as we just saw. And so we got a pretty good answer here, as it sort of got the most current information for us, and the answer is usually no.
Yeah. And I will show as well, because we do have the ability to turn that GovSync off. If I were to ask the same question with GovSync off, this is essentially a one-to-one comparison to what our researching capabilities were in 1.0 here. So if I ask this question, you're going to see that I'm provided with a really fast answer in this case, because again, this part of it with GovSync off is not pulling from the government websites. This is exclusively pulling from the immigration law library to answer our question. So that's the way that I would sum up the legal research component. We're going to walk through some other questions just to show some examples, and there are some other things to show with the chat functionality. But all in all, with legal research, we now have the ability to turn that on and off, but also run that GovSync. So I'm very excited to hear the feedback that we have on the GovSync capabilities as well as you start to search for them.
Absolutely. And so as you go through here and answer some more questions, Tyler, there's there's basically what you have now is the ability to toggle these things on and off, and that gives you some options in how you use the product, correct?
Correct. Yeah, there's a lot more flexibility into what I'm searching for and how I'm interacting with the product. So just as an example, if we were looking to operate more in a private GPT scenario, if we're all familiar with our terminology from Visalaw 1.0, we can actually turn this research mode off, and we'll see instead of getting the GovSync down below, I can use this web search. I actually have the ability to turn this web search on and off, and it is important here. So what this is doing, now that research is off, we can run our more general questions, right? You can think of this as a more general AI tool, not an immigration specific legal research tool, right? So if I were to come in here, and this is the silly question we always use on demos, right? If I ask, why is the sky blue? If I run this question with the web search off, we are not using the immigration law library because our research function is off. And because web search is off, this is just using the general chat LLM, right? It's the same LLM as ChatGPT because we're powered by OpenAI. So this is utilizing the LLM to answer my question here. So if I ask that question, I'm going to receive the answer to why is that sky blue. The difference here is if I ask the same question with the web search on, instead of it only utilizing chat's LLM with the web search off, if I turn it on, it will now go out to the web to answer our question. So if I was maybe looking for specific awards, if there was any reason why I needed the system to go out to the internet specifically to answer my question and pull from various web pages, I can turn that web search on, and it will have the ability to search the web, not just utilizing the LLM that like a ChatGPT would have access to, as an example.
Absolutely. And we do have a question here from Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. If you don't need GovSync for a question, do you recommend researching with just regular law library so that it's faster?
I think for the time being, Jennifer, that's not a bad way to put it. Right? If you don't need GovSync and if you just need to rely on that immigration law library, I think for the time being, that's a fair way of putting it. Transparently, we are in. We're not even 24 hours yet into the launch of 2.0. So if anything, I expect those speeds using GovSync to decrease. But absolutely, if here in the short term, if they are too long of wait times, you can absolutely turn GovSync off and continue searching just through the immigration law library.
Yes, I think that's an excellent way to put it. It really comes down to what you're looking for, what your certain task is.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I think that for immigration attorneys, if you aren't looking for something that, say, just happened. So let's think back to the H-1B
Mhm.
proclamation last fall. If that happened and you heard about that on Twitter like we all did, and you wanted to go research it real quick in about 30 minutes, after that had happened, then that's a situation where you might want to have GovSync on to make sure that you're pulling every available resource that's out there. And of course, that may have, because there's probably a time period where, anyway, besides the point. And so we've got another question here from Leslie. If it goes out to the internet, having GovSync off, does that mean that the chat is protected?
Yeah, Leslie, I hope I'm understanding your question correctly. What this means, so if I have research off and I have web search on, this is using the whole web to answer my questions, right? So I would not want to ask my like sensitive legal research questions with research off and web search on, because again, this is pulling from the entire web, or has the ability, I should say, to pull from the entire web to answer my questions. If by protected you mean, hey, I want to be sure this is only using the immigration law library, I would have research on at all times for that chat to be protected, assuming I'm understanding you correctly. And you can choose whether to use the GovSync on or off. Again, this GovSync is not going to random web pages on the internet. It is exclusively using the government websites that it has access to to validate that information.
I'll actually piggyback off that, Tyler. And I think I've got a bit of a different interpretation of Leslie's question.
Okay.
I think she's asking about data protetation. So if she's
Yeah,
asking
of course.
about information from a client's case, this is a very important topic to discuss. And one of the reasons why we built Visalaw AI, to be totally transparent, to protect client data, to make sure that your data is never sent into the ether that is a data center. That's the difference sort of between using a frontline AI product. You could anonymize everything and sort of do that. That's still risky because of some of the maybe you're working on a case that's got sensitive information about a bad situation, and that can actually be flagged by human reviewers, and all of those things. So you could also get your account flagged by a human reviewer if there's inappropriate or damaging information there. So no, because we are protected with you've got a contract with Visalaw AI, a data protection agreement. None of that information is ever going to be stored or trained on. So you can always be assured that stuff is protected.
Yeah, thank you, Ian, for not overthinking Leslie's question like I was. Yes, no matter which toggle we have on and off, there's no scenario here where we put information into Visalaw where it's going to be retained or it's going to be trained on for any reason. So absolutely.
Yeah, and that's an important note. Even if you don't go with Visalaw AI, it's important that if you are using AI software, you have an enterprise protection agreement. I can't underline that enough for immigration attorneys. We've got a few more questions in here. This one, again, from Leslie. If you want to schedule some time for a tutorial session, I want to put the support email in the chat, and we can get you scheduled for a few minutes to talk with our customer success team to discuss this. And then we have this question from Gabriella. Will every search include references to the source of the information?
Short answer, yes, Gabriella. So if I look over here, even when I ask the silly question of why is the sky blue with the research mode off, I still get those sources down below. In this scenario, I did turn the web search on. So these sources here are available for me to navigate to, and I can validate where that content was coming from. But for our legal research questions as well, let's ask a different one here. I'm going to turn GovSync off just for this scenario. We will see that with GovSync on, with GovSync off, with any of the scenarios here, I'll be provided with the sources, and I can view where that content was coming from here.
Absolutely, and it's also the same thing with GovSync. So with GovSync, when you ask that question and we're pulling something from the USCIS website, you can actually pull that up, and we'll have a link to that web page that's getting that information from, so you can go there as well, which is a very cool feature for that new functionality that we have.
Yeah, and this would be an example of that, right? It's providing me links in line to the government website that's being utilized here. I can navigate to it and validate where that information is getting pulled from.
And this is, I think we pull these things in a lot to go back to sort of our underlying fundamental mission is to make life easier for attorneys. If you are using an AI platform to do legal research and through whatever means, you still need to verify that the citations that you're pulling from and get the answers and make sure that the answers are correct. This is actually something that goes back into ethics work that has to be done on the lawyer side, and so that's sort of how we've built that out, and the reason that we've designed it in such a way that you can verify those citations, because there's a lot of things that you can do to protect yourself as an immigration attorney. Using Visalaw AI, in our opinion, is one of the best ways that you can do that.
Yeah. And typically I show this earlier in the scenarios here, but I did ask a question a moment ago with the research component on. Again, it's that same silly question I've been asking. This is just an example of the system coming back to tell me it cannot answer questions outside of the scope of that immigration law library. So again, because with research on, when we're only utilizing that immigration law library, the system cannot answer questions outside of that. So you're not going to see it try to hallucinate or try to generate new content to satisfy my request of an answer. If it's not found in that immigration law library, it's not going to be able to answer questions off of it.
Absolutely. So going back to the chat feature, Tyler, there's still a lot of stuff we haven't covered here today necessarily. We've mainly focused on the toggles, which is really how you get to the certain things that you want to do, and hopefully that all makes sense for everybody. If you have additional questions, I'm actually going to put my email here in the chat so that you can reach out and follow up with us. But could you walk us through some of the other things that we're seeing here on the dashboard?
Yeah, I think two big things come to mind. One big improvement that we've made to the way that this data and content is accessed is we now have the ability to upload documents and search however we want to search, right? If we're familiar with Visalaw 1.0, we utilized a feature called document Q&A. With document Q&A, we actually did not have the ability to search through the immigration law library simultaneously while uploading our own content. We now have that ability. So instead of navigating to a separate feature called document Q&A, I can click this little clip icon and I can simply upload my own documents here. You will notice that we are going to be supporting some integrations here as well. Some of those are Google Drive, OneDrive, Clio, DocketWise, to name a few. So if you are using one of those case management systems or document repositories, we do now integrate with them. But all in all, we can just simply drag and drop documents in here as well. And when we do, we can choose, again, how we want to search across using that document, right? Do I want to utilize the law library along with the government sync, or do I want to turn that GovSync off? Or maybe I do want to utilize the web or just the general GPT LLM when searching across my documents. So we've added that functionality. You now have a lot more control how you're going to interact with your documents, whether it is just using a general LLM or the law library when answering questions. One thing I'll note as well, we do have a new name for our prompt library. Instead of the prompt library being those pre-built prompts that you may be accessing today, we have transitioned to calling those skills. We have added, I believe, Ian, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've added over 500 new prompts or new skills into the prompt library or skill library. But you can access those in the skills button here as well. And you can now save them as favorites and utilize them this way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, 500, and we continue to build them every single day. This is actually, if you're familiar with Greg Siskin, this is one of his passion projects is
Yeah.
building these prompts. You can think about, the questions we asked today. We basically asked a simple question about J1 waivers, and to a certain extent, that's a fine way to use Visalaw AI. But really, the backbone of any LLM, any AI, is going to be these prompts.
Yeah.
We have all sorts of things in here. You can also like search for certain terminology if you're looking for something specific. And the better the information you give, the better the prompt is, the better the skill is, the more detailed, the better your output is going to be. And because you're giving that extra information, think about it at like working with a junior employee. You can tell them like, hey, go go do this thing, and if you just give them no more information than that, you're probably not going to get a very great return on that. But if you guide them and you teach them, you say, hey, this is what I want, this is how it should look, here's an example of something we've used in the past, you're going to get a much better output. And it's no different here. So so that's skills are probably a topic we'll have to touch on in another webinar. So if you
Absolutely.
are interested, we would love to get you in additional ones of those. You can sign up for our newsletter on our website to stay up to date with events like this and other webinars that we're holding. But that's legal research, and we've covered a lot today, Tyler. We're at time. So if anybody has additional questions, again, do send me an email, and we're happy to get you connected with the right resources. Make sure that you are getting those questions answered. If you're a current customer, best thing you can do is email support and book some time to learn a little bit more about 2.0. If you are interested in Visalaw AI and you aren't a current customer, best thing you can do is book a demo today. You can scan this QR code, or you can go to our website and book a demo there as well. We would love to discuss with you, have Tyler, Jack, Josh, Will talk with you about your specific workflows, what you could best use Visalaw AI for, learn more about drafting, all sorts of things. This is really I'm really excited about 2.0 and all of the different directions that you can take it in your law firm. We've got some great deals as well to implement it in your full firm. We would love to discuss with you what those options are as well. But with that, is there anything additional you want to leave off with today, Tyler?
I don't think so. I know we're at time. I would just say, connect with us one way or another, whether it's with our sales and marketing team or support team. And we'd love to be a resource for you as you navigate kind of your AI journey, but also switching over from Visalaw 1.0 to 2.0. So
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much, and we appreciate everybody who joined us today. Tyler, I appreciate the time that you took today as well, and everybody behind the scenes. And thank you all so much. We appreciate it, and hope we'll see you at another webinar here soon.
thanks, everyone.